Week 2, video 2 of the Be Happy Challenge, The Secrets of the Spiritual Heart. It's chapter 6 in the book, The Untethered Soul. So this chapter makes a bold claim. When your heart is open, you're experiencing love, or you have the capacity to experience love. When it's closed, you don't. That seems pretty simple. So what makes our heart closed, and how can we open it? We started to talk about this in the previous video, and we're going to get into it in more detail now. So most people don't understand how the heart works, is the assertion of the book. And we'll relate to it like it's an energy center, and that it acts like a valve that controls your flow of inner energy. So from the last chapter, we're reminded that everything that's going on inside of us is just different flows of energy that are interpreted by our mind and that our consciousness can experience. So the premise is the heart closes because of stored, unfinished energy patterns. So how can energy be stored? When we look at in the universe, patterns of energy that are stable, and an electron is a great example of that. So there's this kind of cycling energy where it contains itself, it stays in space. And what we know from nuclear power is that the energy in an atom can blow up the world. So there's an amazing amount of energy that's stored in an electron. So the premise is that there's this stored, unfinished energy patterns, and that's what closes our heart. So how does that work? First of all, we need to kind of establish how are we designed to operate. So you can be going along, let's say you're driving down a highway, is the example used in the book, and you're observing everything that's going by. There's cars going by, there's lots of trees, there's the mountains over there, there's the sky, and it's all flowing through you. Your awareness, completely aware of everything, and then it all passes through you. It's just an unending series of experiences from moment to moment to moment. And that's life. And that's ideally how we're supposed to work, that life passes through us, we experience it, and then we're on to the next moment. But that's not how people work, typically. What happens is that when an energy pattern creates a disturbance, we've somehow decided that we don't like that event, something isn't the way we think it should be, that creates a disturbance, and then we resist it. We don't let it pass through. We don't want to experience that. And first, that enters the mind and creates those thoughts. And then it can kind of get to the heart and create some emotions. And if we still don't let it pass through us, if we don't let that feeling, if we don't experience that emotion, then it goes into deep storage. Now, this is the explanation in the book. And you might be there thinking, maybe being skeptical. And, fair enough. But let's just operate like this is true. And I think that when you're really paying attention, it does kind of make sense to how we experience life. So we can get caught up in the semantics, but I invite you to just operate as if that could be true and delve into this as an idea that can give you access to this energy, that can give you access to love. So the bold claim is all inner noise is just your mind trying to process unfinished energy patterns, blocked energy patterns. So when you don't let an energy pattern pass through your heart center, it creates a block. Maybe not a big one, but a little one. And it can actually be held onto for a long time. Now, that block is mostly inert, like it doesn't do anything until it's triggered. And that blockage stores incredibly detailed information about whatever it is that happened. From a neurobiology perspective, from a psychology perspective, we can see that this would be, traumatic events in our past, how we didn't want to fully process them, and how those impact our ability to deal with life on a day-to-day basis. And that's a really big example, but it's also tiny things, little idiosyncrasies of the people in our lives that we just kind of get a little irritated by. And you can feel it, open, closed. I'm happy I got up, and then you see some shoes that were left out. Closed. They never put stuff away. And of course, we're not always present to that. We don't relate to that, but we can see that mechanism happening. So these blocked energy patterns have very detailed, like everything that was going on, how you felt, the temperature, what you didn't like. And when they're triggered, all of that can be brought back, like all of that memories. Gives the idea that, you could be 60 and have one of these blockages triggered, and you could feel like a 5-year-old. They could take you back to that moment when you were 5, when you were a little kid. It's how powerful these blockages are. In the yogic tradition, they call them samskaras. In psychology, they might call them traumas or decisions we've made about life. Hey, this happened, so this is true. It could be a belief. Ultimately, it's something that happened in the past that isn't fully processed. Now, this can be good or bad. So when it's bad, we tend to resist it or push it away. We don't want to experience it. But sometimes there's good stuff we store, and we don't want to let it go. We cling to it. And an important thing to understand is both keep us from being in the present. Both interrupt our ability to process what we're experiencing now. They take us away from this moment. So the suggestion is that when you store this inner pain, these resistance, these samskaras, if you store enough of them, you become depressed. And all of life has to first pass through these samskaras, these blockages, before you get to experience it. They're the filter with which we experience life. from the perspective of, being happy, there's, when we have all these memories, all this pain, all these events that we're not allowed to experience, it can really impact our ability to feel present. So these blockages close our heart, which we said in the last video. We have a list of things that automatically close our heart, often below our level of awareness. And then that shuts us off to love and joy and energy and enthusiasm. So here's the quote from the book, which I think is powerful. Don't sell yourself short. This can happen all the time. Unending inspiration, unending love, unending openness. This is the state of a healthy heart. That sounds pretty good to me. So how do we get to that? I mean, think about life that way. A healthy heart, unending inspiration, unending love, unending openness. Now you can kind of feel it, like there's this pull towards that, like there's this image. Now it might be really far away from where you are now, or it might be pretty close. Maybe you're like, yeah, I'm like that most of the time. Maybe I'm like that, I'm never like that. You could be in both of those places. The journey is still the journey. Keep releasing. I'm open to 90%, but there's 10% that I'm not, that I get stuck on, that rob me of that love, that openness, that inspiration. So really the question is for you to reflect on. What do you resist in your life? What are you resisting right now? Make a little list. We can explore, like, what is it about that we're resisting? What is it about those things that isn't okay? The other thing is, like, what are you clinging to? That's the other thing to explore. What are you holding on to so tightly that it robs you from experiencing what's happening now? The challenge with what we're clinging to is that it then becomes a filter for what's happening. And if this is the best event we've ever had, and then you're comparing this moment to that event, well, then this moment can't compare. And then you're left being dissatisfied. The goal of the challenge of getting to a healthy heart is that we're neither pushing life away or clinging to it. We're not resisting or clinging. We're just letting every experience pass through us, like each experience was a gift, the gift of living in this moment. So your task this week is to keep open when your blockages are triggered. Just allow that energy to pass through you. Now, sometimes it might be painful, sometimes it might be lovely, but just allow that energy to be processed and really just keep your heart open. Relax that heart, relax your heart into that blockage. It's just energy moving. And on the other side of that is the release of that samskara, is a release of a blockage, so that you have access to more love, more openness. And I think a really great piece of advice in the book is, don't make decisions when you're blockages are triggered about what to say or what to do. That's not when you want to make a decision. Making a decision from openness and love and enthusiasm sounds like the kind of decision that will create the life that you want. Right? That's week 2, video 2 over. As always, if you have any questions or need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. Have a great week.